Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back once again for more ALR Silver action, and we are here tonight in Mexico for the 20th round of the season. It's season 5, and Dan Murphy has lost his car keys once again. So there we go. Once again, he's not going to take part in qualifying. It's not a surprise really these days. But there we go. Fanjo is on track. We'll have a look at Fanjo. We're a bit... well, the stream is a bit late. The lobby itself is on time. We have got all 20 drivers in the lobby. Unfortunately, we had one driver drop out last minute, which is a big shame. I think it was Cassell there in the Alfa Romeo who has been replaced by Echo, of course, who's racing for Alfa Romeo in bronze as well. So he's the only reserve tonight. Everybody else is full-time on the grid. We are welcoming back Welsh Maldonado, who has joined the Alfa Romeo team, replacing Zealous there, who has jumped into the Alfa Romeo there for the last 5 races, of course, including tonight. So we're looking forward to seeing what Welsh Maldonado can do in the Alfa Romeo car. Fanjo, though, we'll have a look at Fanjo because, of course, he is still in the hunt for the championship, technically. Oh, mathematically, I think he's a bit far off at the moment. He's down in 3rd place, but we're looking to get some good points. He had a fantastic win last round in the US of A, the Circuit of the Americas. He sets the first time on the board, a 16-1 there. We saw some fast times last night in gold, indeed, down into the 15s, but I think Fanjo could be rivaling that if he can just get himself another few attempts or so. But very good time indeed to start off the session. Of course, the track is very green at this stage of the qualifying, that is. We are looking to get into the race in about 15 minutes time, so there we go. Good stuff indeed. Like I said, Fanjo there setting the precedent so far. Echo there, of course, reserving tonight, like I said, in place of Cassell, who unfortunately changed his vote very late. Equaz there slots himself up into P2 there. The current driver of P2 in the standings is in P2 on the grid as it stands as well. Dylan there, I don't think he's at a representative time there. He's on the medium compound tyres. I think we can go a bit faster there from Dylan's point of view. I think he's just looking to set his sights there as Welsh Maldonado does pop into time there, just behind her teammate of Echo, 17.3 there for the new full-time driver, the newest full-time driver on the grid. Welcome back to Welsh Maldonado. Beast and Kamara Racer have gone up the order though, as Kamara has finally selected his car. We were waiting for him in the lobby to sort himself out. He was looking to spectate and join the comms box with me, but thankfully, well, I don't know, maybe it's better if he was in the comms box, I'm not quite sure, but thankfully we'd rather see him on track, from my personal opinion anyway, because he's a very fast Kamara Racer indeed, and that is a good time at the moment. He's done a 16.99, 997 there to put himself up into P3 there on the second row of the grid, along with Beast in the McLaren, who's done a 17.0. So good stuff indeed. Reflection now, unfortunately, retiring from the session. That is him done dusted in qualifying as well. Then back into the pit lane as well. So a few drivers there just getting their first laps in anger out on the track. And of course, they've still got time to come back round and go back out again another couple of times indeed as well. Danny's retiring in the pit lane, I think. That is him done dusted in qualifying also. Farf is out on track. Dopey Lemons, though, coming through the S's section of Sector 2. This is where we're going to see, I think, a few penalties get picked up and a few spins potentially in the race. It is a very complex corners to negotiate in the race, especially with the fuel loads and the higher temperatures in the tyres as well. But so far, everybody has negotiated it very well in qualifying. We have seen a few get caught out in qualifying in gold last night. So, like I said, go back and watch that one. It was a very good race. But, of course, the silver action is live for you tonight. So, we'll have to watch this one first. This is going to be the best of the two, of course, I would imagine, because I'm not biased at all. Dopey Lemons there goes up into P8 there, right ahead of his teammate of Gordo, who's coming back. He's also on the medium compound tyres, is Gordo. So, I think a few drivers just trying out the mediums first before they put on the soft compound tyres and go for it. Evening all says that Serious Mushroom, the Welshie is back. That's driver of the day sorted as well. Well, potentially we'll have to wait and see. Serious Mushroom might get a shout of driver of the day, of course, in bronze tomorrow night, which was going to be the Mexican Grand Prix for them as well. 7:30 p.m. for that one as well. So tune in for that. That's going to be an interesting one indeed. V Todd currently in P10. He's coming back to the pit lane. I think he's sorted out his first flying lap. He's done an 18.9 there in the Ferrari, but he's going again, or he's coming back round again. Let's have a look and see. He's going to start his next lap, I think, or maybe he can come into the pits. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to find out. We'll have to put the telemetry on first, because that would be quite helpful. I suppose that's what I haven't done. There we go. Now we can see what their ERS usage is like. And here comes Smithy now in the Williams there, looking good indeed through the S's section in the Williams, and coming now down towards the stadium section, which, like Sean was saying yesterday, is full of atmosphere. It's not so much a great complex of corners there for negotiating the car through, but it's a very good atmosphere indeed, especially towards the end of the race. when the fireworks get set off as well. We'll have to see that in action there at the end of the 36 laps tonight. Smithy there goes up into P7, splitting the Alpines there into the top 10, top 11, I should say. I was going to say top 10. Unfortunately, he's not in the top 10 just yet. He is only a couple of attempts off that though. Corner there still going on those medium compound tyres. I think they're calling it a day now. Nigel's still in the pits, as is Brabbit as well. Irvine is on track. Let's have a look and see what Irvine's going to do. Harsh says Fandro there in the comment section. What about me? So Fandro wants some support from Serious Mushroom there in the comment section, and of course I would imagine that he does have that support, of course, being part of the Haas outfit. Serious Mushroom is a big advocate for the Haas, of course. He's a big fan favourite, as unfortunately for the Haas drivers, one of them's just had a spin. They're coming out of turn 3, and that has caused the well, unfortunately not caused anything really. It's thankfully he's been able to carry on. There's no damage there to Irvine's car, but it's caused him to have to abort the lap time. I would imagine those tyres now a bit overheated, and you have to try and get them cooled down now before he can get himself back underway for another flying lap attempt. But like I said, speaking of the Haas outfit, they've done really well. They did a very good job last race as well, with Irvine getting, I think, P6, wasn't it, in the end up with Fandro's win, so maximising the points as much as they could there in the US of A. But of course now in Mexico it's another challenge indeed, and we'll have to see how they fare in this one. Like I said, Becca's here. It doesn't matter, says Serious Mushroom there. Talking about the driver of the day, that is. But there we go. We'll have to wait and see what. Well, I don't know. I'm not myself going to be doing the poll, of course, because I will not be. I'll be doing the commentary instead of the doing the poll. So we'll have to wait and see if Sean wakes up. He can do that poll for us, hopefully. What time do you want in quali? Says Fandro there. So he's asking. He's just got the confidence there, has Fandro there to. He's going to be able to see whatever time you want. He can set that time. Let's have a look and see what he can do. He's going a bit slowly at the moment. I think just letting the Ferrari there of Kamara go through now into the stadium section as well. And Serious Mushrooms asked for a 15.7, so that is the target time for Fandro. The target time, I think, will probably be roughly around that for the pole position as well, for the other drivers to beat as well. We'll have to wait and see. At the moment, there is pot stuff there. He's got himself up into P2 there with a very good 16.200 there. Puts him very comfortably in P2 as well by 0.2 of a second here to this driver here, Kamara Racer. But of course, Kamara there looks like he's going to be trying to go for another attempt on this lap as well. So he's pushing on. No, maybe he's not. I'm not quite sure. We can't quite tell with Kamara Racer, as we couldn't tell what he was doing in the lobby either, to be honest, at the beginning stage of this race. But there we go. He's got himself sorted at least. Right then, so Fandro's been set his target time by Serious Mushroom. Let's have a look and see if anybody else can match that as well. We'll try and beat that as well. Dylan put himself up into a very comfortable P5 there after taking off those medium compound tyres, putting on a set of soft compound tyres now. So that is all done and dusted there for the Williams driver. I think putting himself up into P5 is not too bad. Faf there has qualified for the first time in about 5 years, and that is him up into P7 for the time being. A 17.1 is good enough. He's gone on to a fresh set, it looks like, and back out again onto the soft compound tyres, but he's not using any ERS, so I'm not quite sure what is going on there. He's just, well, now he is. I'm not quite sure if he just turned the ERS button on a bit too late there, unfortunately, for a half. That is going to cost him a bit of lap time there, especially down that straight. You want all the battery power and all the DRS power that you can get through that down that straight, don't you? Otherwise, you're going to lose out a bit of time. So maybe that is a bit of a different situation there from Farm. I'm not quite sure what is going on there. We'll have to come back to that one. Dopey Lemon's there negotiating through the stadium section, but I think he's just coming back to the pit lane there. He's not using much ERS, so that unless the ERS is just glitched on my screen, I think he might be. As he does come across the line, he has gone faster, so that is completely on my screen there. Nigel there sets the fastest lap so far, 15.905. Dopey Lemon's up into P8 there, but the championship leader there is looking to set the precedent with a very fantastic, the first driver so far into the 15s, although Pot Stuff there just crossing the line there has done a 15.9 as well, but it's a 15.982 for the Red Bull driver. Puts himself on the front row, and then Fandro has got a bit of work to do there to try and get himself between those two, or ahead of those two as well, I should say, because those are very good lap times indeed there from the championship leader and the challenger of Pot Stuff there, who thankfully is back in the car. Then he had last 2 weeks missing because of his work situation, but thankfully he is back with us and looking good indeed after a bit of a sabbatical, we'll say that. But looking good indeed, especially in that Red Bull, to get himself on the front row, or even potentially battle for the pole position as well. We might see that as well. We'll have to find out. Brabbit there puts himself up into P7. P11. That is good stuff indeed for Brabbit. They're coming back to the pit lane now as here comes Beast. Unfortunately, he's invalidated on this run, so he's coming back to the pits, I'd imagine. The same we saw from Dopey Lemons, who has just finished the lap there ahead of Nigel. We saw then Nigel's fastest lap time pop up. But at the moment, I think the lull in the qualifying before the final few runs before they all start, I think coming out for the final runs will be now, and we've got about sort of 2-3 minutes or so before the cars start going out for their final runs, I think, in this qualifying session. Troy said Becca is racing. Send to the grid my prayers. Well, she's racing in the Alfa Romeo full time as well now, so we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully she can tackle the track very, very well indeed. I think the last time Becca was racing in Mexico was the 100% League round. I think it was round 3, very, very early on in the season. This was back in sort of November time, and I don't think it went too well for Becca, unfortunately, so we'll have to wait and see what she can do in this one. She's currently qualifying in P13, that is. Unfortunately, Danny Reflection and Dan Murphy have not been able to get a time in, so they will be at the back of the grid. But here comes Gordo, and I think Gordo there sliding it through the stadium section. That is not going to gain you much time, especially through there. And that is, I think that's his lap time done and dusted there for Gordo. He's decided to come back to the pit lane there and go again later on. Maldonado is I think on an out lap there, but she's just about to start her flying lap. So let's have a look and see what the Alfa Romeo driver can do here for her first full-time appearance in the Silver League this season. Looking to see how she fares in the next 5 races, of course. But now down at the main straight, there you go. On the orbital nose cone here of the Alfa Romeo. And through turns 1, 2 and 3 very nicely indeed there on the power as early as possible without spinning up the tyres though, because that can send you, like we saw with Irvine, into a very big spin indeed. Now into the heavy braking zone of turn 4 through towards the turn 5. This is a mini stadium section, is it? The baseball stadium, isn't it? As we now go through turns 6, 7 and 8, and now we head in towards sector 2, which is where it gets complicated. This is the S's section there. It's very difficult to try and negotiate through here, but at the moment looking very smooth indeed in that Alfa Romeo, and negotiating it very nicely, almost going very wide over the curbs there, but kept it within the track limits, which is good stuff indeed. And now into sector 3 we go, into the stadium section, the last few corners of the track. And this is where you can gain quite a bit of time and lose quite a bit of time as well. Very slow part of the circuit, this one, but negotiating it again very nicely indeed. And now around the final corner, very easy to spin on the traction here. We can't see the Alfa Romeo, but here we can. And up into P11 she goes there with a 16.997 there. Good stuff indeed there. Just outside the top 10 there for the Alfa Romeo. And she's still got time, I think, potentially to get herself back to the pit lane. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, I think it might be a bit of a stretch indeed, as Kamara Racer has retired in the pit lane. He doesn't want to come back out again, does the Ferrari driver? He's going to be no higher than P4 tonight. Fanjo is back out on circuit. Let's have a look. I think Fanjo just is on an out lap there, just letting drivers go through. So that is Fanjo done and dusted there. Craig R is back out on circuit as well. Craig with a fantastic result indeed in the US of A. Got a P2, didn't he? The first or best result of the season as well in the McLaren. Looking to capture that form and keep going there in that direction there for the McLaren outfit as well. Looking good in P6 for the time being as well. Let's have a look and see what he can do there coming through turns 3 as well, and try and get that power down. That DRS of course is available down the second straight. There's only one detection point, isn't there? There's one detection point on the exit of the stadium section, really, in towards the final turn, and then you've got DRS all the way down the main straight. But then you pick it up again down the next straight after turn 3 towards turn 4. So if you're in the DRS zone behind one driver, is Craig flying through the S's there, and he's lost the car. He's gone through really at great speed, and unfortunately that has cost him. He's now in neutrals, and he needs to make sure he gets himself out of neutral first. Yeah, unfortunately they've just lost the car as you saw him going through there at some great pace indeed, and I think just the over rotation of the car there has cost him his place as Maldonado is retired from the session in the pit lane there. She's not going to be able to get back out on another set of tyres there to get herself another time on the board. That is Welsh Maldonado's qualifying done and dusted, I should say, into Sector 2, and purple there for Fanjo. It's looking good at the moment in Sector 1. Let's have a look and see, can you keep that all together there through into Sector 2 and Sector 3, of course, as well. Now, this is the complicated part. As we've been saying, there was those S's there. We saw Craig R spin out there after putting the power down a bit too early. They're going through those corners with a bit too much rotation on the car, a bit too much weight on the car as well, in the wrong area, and that has sent him into a spin. Into Sector 3 we're going out as for this car coming out, getting out of the way, hopefully, of Fanjo. I think it's an Aston Martin there. Of Equaz there, but now into the final corner, the Nigel Mansell corner. Used to be a banked corner as well. Would have been interesting to see that in real life. But Fanjo there with a 15.758 there. Look at that for Serious Mushroom, on the money as well. Look at that indeed, and that was his target time indeed, and that is currently pole position there for Fanjo with a great lap time indeed on the board. Let's see what Nigel and Potstuff can do as well. Of course, there is a few drivers there still to rival the Haas driver for pole position. Of course, he got the pole position and the win in the US of A last week as well, with a fantastic race from the Haas driver. Of course, Fanjo there commanding the race as he's now making his way back to the pit lane. Nigel there has invalidated his time going through into Sector 2. That is him done and dusted in this qualifying session as well, I think. In comes Potstuff though. Potstuff coming through the S's now. He got himself through there quite comfortably indeed. No invalidations there for the Red Bull. Can he displace Nigel there in the on the front row? And can he take that pole position away from Fanjo? We'll have to wait and see. Now through the stadium section we go for the Red Bull driver. It's going to be close indeed, I think. We haven't quite seen what time he is, or how much he's up on his time. But now around the final corner we go up to the line. It's going to be close indeed. Potstuff there improves, but only just there for P3. Nigel there is safe in P2 for the time being. Equaz though is coming through to finish off his lap. I think Equaz might be Equaz is going to be close indeed as well, is he? He's going to be up to the line, but he's only improved by a tenth of a second. Brabbit has crossed the line for P4. Moving Kamara Racer down to P6 there. Unfortunately, Kamara Racer not getting a second lap or third lap in is done and dusted. Craig R retiring in the pits. He's starting P7. Let's have a look and see what Dopey Lemons is up to, because he's the one driver who's left on track. He's unfortunately back in the pit lane. So that is that. Fanjo is your pole sitter here for the Mexican Grand Prix, and what a pole lap indeed. 15.758 there, a tenth and a half ahead of Nigel, and almost two or just over 2 tenths ahead of Potstuff in P3. What a lap time indeed, and that was his target time indeed, set by Serious Mushroom in the comment section, of course, in the YouTube stream, and it has worked out indeed very well from the Haas driver. From one Haas driver in the comment section to the Haas driver on the track, he has popped himself up onto the pole position there with a fantastic lap time, and of course he's got his championship rivals there of Nigel and Potstuff there right behind in second and third. But we'll have a rundown of the classification very shortly indeed as well. But what a qualifying from all the drivers, to be fair, but well, qualifying indeed from Fanjo there to get himself comfortably on pole position there by, like I said, a tenth and a half there to Nigel in P2, Potstuff there in P3, Brabbit a good qualifying from him in P4, then Equaz in P5, Kamara Racer in P6 there, didn't get a third run in. Craig R as well had a bit of trouble on the final run, but he got himself P7, Dylan in P8, Farf in P9, Beast in P10, Dopey Lemons P11, Welsh Maldonado P12, Echo in P13, Gordo P14, Smithy in P15, V-Todd 16th, and then we had Irvine. Don't think he got a representative time in, unfortunately. If 154 is not representative for Irvine, unfortunately. Danny, Reflection and Dan Murphy didn't get a lap time in the qualifying session. Equaz is looking for a good start from P5. Fanjo has said, "Is that good enough for you, Mushroom?" In the comment section. It was a bit overcast here in Mexico now. Is there going to be some rain afoot in the race? We'll have to find out. At the moment, not so bad. Becca or Welsh Maldonado has said everybody around me is not going to have a good time with her starting in P12 apparently. But fingers crossed we get away well, and we'll have to wait and see. Good luck to Equaz from Serious Mushroom as well. Still still a great lap time indeed, says from Becca, sorry, says Serious Mushroom, and Fanjo done a great job as well. So good stuff indeed. All the drivers done a good job there in that qualifying, apart from the 3 of them who didn't get a lap time in, unfortunately. But there we go. We're on to the race itself. We'll have to wait and see what the drivers are doing, what they're going to be starting on tyre-wise. They've got their fuel loads already. Now the formation lap is ready to get going as well. Let's have a look at the tyres then, shall we? No soft tyres on the grid at all. Very interesting strategy choices here. As Dan Murphy, they're starting from the back of the grid. They're P20 on the hard compound tyres. Reflection the same there from P19. So that is the 2 at the back there on row 10, starting on the hard compound tyres. Danny's gone for the medium compound tyres in P18, so he's looking for a faster start than those around him there on the medium compound. Irvine there on the hard compound tyres, I should say, in P17. Same for V Todd in P16 as well. And Smithy Almighty in P15. So a few drivers there from the back of the grid looking to go long in the first stint. It is a medium to hard strategy we're predicting, or we're estimating, that is, depending on, of course, what the drivers want to do, and if there's any safety cars or anything that jumps in the way as well. Gorda there on the medium compound tyres, as is Echo there in P13. So those drivers there starting on the faster tyre. Welshman Nada on the hards, as is Dopey Lemons, just outside the top 10, those two. They're looking to move forward there later on in the race, of course, starting on the hards, going longer in the first stint. Beast there in P10 on the medium compound tyres. He's the only one of 2 on the mediums in the top 10. Everybody from 9th, which is Farf, Dylan, Craigar, Kamara Racer, Equaz, Brabbit, Potstuff and Nigel, up to P2 on the hard compound tyres. Our pole sitter, Fanjo, once again has gone for the medium compound tyres from the start of the race. We saw this in the United States last week, where the drivers behind him went on the hards going longer in the first stint, but it didn't work out for them. Fanjo there started on the medium compound tyres and went to the hards later on and still won the race quite comfortably. Will that factor play the same in this race as well? A different part of the world, or slightly different part of the world, not too far away from Texas, I suppose we are, as Nigel's gone for a spin there on the formation lap. But Fanjo there is ready to get himself onto the grid to start this race, and I think if he can get a good start, he will be able to get a good gap as well, because those medium compound tyres at the beginning of the race will be fantastic compared to those hard compound tyres, I imagine. We'll have to wait and see what the race start is like, of course. Here we go. We are ready to get going very soon. Serious Mushroom's got his ALR hoodie on as well, which is very nice indeed. Very good from you, Serious Mushroom. Good stuff indeed. Right, we're all lined up, or almost lined up on the grid. Hopefully we can get a better camera angle. I can't quite see the lights from this angle. There we go. We'll have to wait and see. That was better. Right then, I think we're ready to get going then. We're waiting for the lights to come on here in Mexico. The 5 red lights are on in Mexico, and away we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. 36 laps here of this famous circuit, and away we go. Fanjo there gets a good start, but Nigel there comes in behind, trying to get the slipstream there down the main straight. There's a lot of weaving going on there from both the drivers there. That is a very off-putting indeed for everybody behind, I imagine, as well. Into turn 1 we go comfortably there for Nigel and Fanjo as well. Equaz has got himself up into P10, P3 I should say, with a great start indeed. He wanted a great start, he got one as well. Up 2 positions there. We'll get the position changes up on the graphic as well. Up into P3 there for Equaz. Good start indeed. Brabbit stays in P4. Ultimate Beast is up 5 places from P10. Poststuff is dropping down the order. He's had a difficult time. Equaz is going through. What's happened to Nigel? Nigel's left the session. He's out of the race. He's not in the car anymore. I'm not sure what's happened to Nigel there. He's dropping down the order there. Unfortunately, we've had some technical issues there for Nigel. Hopefully he can get himself back in the car, which is a big shame indeed. That's dropping him down the order there. Favre got up into P6 there with gaining 3 places. Same for Echo. He's gained 5 places there in the Alfa Romeo. Welshman Rider stays in P12. She's being passed there by Dopey Lemons for the time being. But everything seems okay there. Nigel needs to get himself back in the car, unfortunately. But Fanjo there has got himself out in the lead very comfortably indeed. He's got a 2-second gap almost on the first lap, which is absolutely fantastic indeed. And we did say the strategy is usually in his favour when he starts this way from pole position as well. Favre getting past his teammate there, Nigel is not in the car. Down the order, Gordo is having an issue there. I'm not quite sure who's ghosting. Danny I think was ghosting there for some reason. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but they managed to get themselves through the stadium section now and back onto the main straight all in one piece. Potstuff and Echo battling away. Potstuff and Echo are switching places there into turn 1 down the straight. We go down the inside. No, Potstuff there has to stay behind the Alfa Romeo for the time being. Now try and get himself past Nigel. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Nigel there. Hopefully he can get himself back in the race. Dylan has gotten past Gordo. Gordo has dropped down the order though, but nope, somebody still going down the order. Nigel's back in the session, which is good news indeed. Gordo there has lost out to Dylan. Reflection. Dylan's dropped down 6 places. I'm not quite sure what happened to Dylan. He had a bit of a difficult start. Unfortunately, Nigel's dropped down 7 places there from P2 after dropping out of the session there. After we did get going, he was in the car, but for some reason after we got through turns 1, 2 and 3, he seemed to just disappear out of the session, which is a big shame indeed for the championship contender. He's going to have to do some fighting through the field to get back up the order. Ekwaz in the meantime regains his P2 position that he's very familiar with. Of course, he's currently P2 in the standings, but he needs to try and get himself after Fanjo, of course. On the medium compound tyres is Fanjo, so he's going to be a lot faster at this stage of the race compared to those on the hard compound tyres behind him. But we'll have to wait and see when that starts to switch over. Then it will come back into the favour of the hard compound runners. Fanjo, of course, sets the fastest lap of the race there, being the first to complete the lap. Ultimate Beast and Brabbit there battling away down the main straight. DRS has been enabled there, so it will be activated for the drivers there on the next straight, on the next lap I should say. Brabbit there slotting in behind there. The McLaren is going to make a move back into turn 1. No, not quite. He's going to have to stay behind for the time being at this stage of the race. Echo has had a great start indeed on those medium compound tyres. He's up 7 places. Into the pits goes Irvine. Not quite sure what's happened to Irvine. He's had a spin or had some contact, and he's having a wing change, unfortunately, for the Haas driver down the back of the order there. Smithy and Gordo switching places as well. Gordo there on the medium compound tyres, I think, looking to get himself back up the order there as well. Reflection there has gained 4 places there, starting from P19. Dan Murphy's gained 2 places there into the first few laps as well we go. But like I said, it is now starting to spread out as well as the drivers there get themselves settled into this race. Still a long way to go in this one as well. 36 laps to do. We've done 3, so we've got 33 to go at the end of this one as well. Echo picks up the first penalty of the night as well. 3 laps in, he's got the first 3-second penalty there for track extensions. Unfortunately for the Alfa Romeo driver, that is going to cost him later on in this race, should he be only less than 3 seconds ahead of his next rival there, his next challenger in this race at the end of the race, of course. Potstuff there having a bit of a difficult time negotiating through the stadium section. I think that might have cost him DRS potentially. Into the pits goes Favre. Favre is calling it a day already on the hard compound tyres. Is this Smithy's picked up a 3-second penalty as well. That's the second penalty there of the night. But Favre there has had to call it a day on the hard compound tyres. I can't see any wing damage there on the AlphaTauri, but he is pitting for a wing change there. So unfortunate there for Favre. That's dropping him down the back of the order there. Welsh Manod has been overtaken there by Reflection. DRS of course is helping the Red Bull to get past the Alfa Romeo on this instance, and of course he's going to have a double dose for that now down the next straight as well to try and get himself after Dylan in the Williams, who's trying to recover as well after his difficult start. I'm not quite sure what happened there between the drivers there. Nigel's moved up into P8 there after recovering, getting back in the car, I should say, but of course his teammate there was the reason that he's got past one driver there. He's had to make an unscheduled stop, I think Favre has, so he's onto the medium compound tyres. He can go medium from here, I would imagine, which would probably be the best strategy as we carry on now onto lap 4 there. These drivers there causing a bit of a queue now behind, or creating a bit of a queue now behind Echo, who's up into P5. He's not got, so he's got a 3-second gap there to P4. The top 4 there, the top 4th to 2nd are splitting away, but of course the race leader is now 4 seconds away from Ekwaz there in P2 with a fantastic start there. Is Fanjo. He's doing a great job once again indeed in the Mexican Grand Prix, copy and paste pretty much the strategy so far from the USA Grand Prix last week, where he won very comfortably indeed as well. So we're having to look to see, is he going to be able to repeat the feat as Beast has got himself past Ekwaz there into turn 1. He's up into P2. There is the McLaren driver. Good stuff indeed, a great move indeed. Now Ekwaz trying to fight back, but he's having to trying to yield at the moment, because of course DRS again available for the McLaren as we go down towards turn 4. But no moves being made there between Ekwaz and Beast there this time. There I think they're going to have to sit tight there for the time being. They're trying to drop Rabbit at the moment, who's losing out to that 1 second window there that he needs to keep for that lovely DRS dosage. Of course, it's very powerful around this circuit because there's quite a few. There's 3 DRS zones, isn't there? Of course, so you have to try and stay within DRS to try and maximise the speed throughout your lap time. But Potstuff there won't be worrying about that too much. He wants to just get himself past the Alfa Romeo there of Echo and get himself back up the order. Unfortunately, starting from P2, from P3, he's dropped down to P6 there after a difficult start. I'm not quite sure what happened to Pot Stuff. There was a couple of drivers who had a difficult start as well. I think Dylan was the other one as well, and potentially, I think it was, I'm not quite sure what happened to Irvine or to Farf there, but it seems to they've had contact somewhere on the lap. Nigel picked up a penalty there. That is not good news there for Nigel. That is that 3-second penalty that we added onto his race time, and I think he's maybe pushing a bit too hard. They're trying to catch up to the drivers ahead and get himself back up the order where he wants to be. He was, of course, starting in P12. Equaz coming back down the main straight, has got the move back there for P2 on the McLaren of Beast, but he's now having to battle away. There's still all of this battling is losing them time. Hand over fist now to Fanjo, who's got a 6-second gap almost to P2, which is great stuff indeed from Fanjo's point of view, of course, as fastest lap of the race, of course, on the fresh medium compound tyres. But like I said, great news indeed there for Fanjo, who is currently, of course, leading the way and trying to check out in the distance as well, like we saw in USA last week as well. But of course, the drivers around him, or drivers behind him, I should say, do not want that hash to get too far away. Otherwise, he's almost in command of this race. He's going to control this race and get the win of this race, which of course Fanjo is very keen on. But I'm not sure the rest of the drivers would want that. They want to get the win themselves, don't they? So let's have a look and see how it's going to fare later on in this one. Potstar picks up a penalty there coming through the S's section into sector 3. Yellow flags down the order. It's for Dan Murphy. I think Dan Murphy. Oh wait, is it Smithy? No, it's it's Dan Murphy. Unfortunately, Dan Murphy's off the circuit. Big Todd has gone through as well, which is a big shame there for Dan Murphy. He had a good start, got himself up 2 places. Well, he had himself up 4 places, I think, at that point. Unfortunately for Dan, he's going to have to recover once again. Favre picks up another penalty. That is definitely not good news for Favre. I think he's got 2 penalties already now. Here comes Beast back again for P2. These two fighting tooth and nail there for that P2 position there at this stage of the race. Of course, they're switching places quite comfortably down the DRS straight, so it's not losing them too much time there. As into the chicane we go. Equaz there with a good exit there, could get himself back past the McLaren if he tries to use some ERS as well. He's trying to, well, he's thinking about it, I think, but no, he's biding his time once again, slotting back in behind. Brabbit has caught back up as well. With that battling, so it's helped Brabbit there get himself back in the DRS range of the 2 ahead, but still at the moment 7 seconds now the lead for the race leader of Fanjo. Fantastic time indeed. He's really just going great guns indeed, isn't he, Fanjo? Really trying to get that gap as high as it can be possibly before the pit stop phase. Of course, he's going to be coming into the pits earlier than the rest of the drivers behind him on those hard compound tyres, so the mediums will drop off quite a bit quicker than the hards we should expect. Serious Mushroom has said bye-bye Fanjo. I hope he doesn't mean anything bad, as Potstuff has got himself past Echo there into the stadium section we go. Potstuff now takes the P5 position away from the Alfa Romeo, but I think that might switch back again as we go down the main straight once again as well, because of course Echo there will have the DRS now down to the very long main straight. So there we go. Onto the straight we go. ERS available for Echo as well, and the DRS now available as well, and he's already got the move done, I think, before the DRS has been activated almost. He's already alongside it. He's passed the Red Bull once again, up into P5 after that splendid move indeed from Potstuff there into the stadium section. Fortunately, he's been caught back up by the Alfa Romeo there, and they've carried on their battle once again as the same for the drivers ahead of Equaz and Beast there. I think these two switching places regularly down the order, as we've got Gorda and Reflection switching places as well. Gorda now up into P13. Good stuff indeed. He's it says he's gained a place there, or he's held a place, but he's also gained a place. I'm not quite sure what's going on there for the graphic. We'll switch it over to the tyre compounds now, because we've got quite a few drivers there on the hard compound tyres, so of course that doesn't mean they're going longer in this race. Sorry about that. They're going longer in this race, so they're going to be looking to extend the stint, I'd say, to about lap 20, 21. Roughly around there is where I would predict, but of course I can't predict very accurately from here, as we got Craigar off the circuit. We saw him have a bit of a spin in qualifying. He's got himself back underway. He's lost a place there to Danny and to Dylan. I think he's got himself back underway, but he's down to P12. Unfortunately for Craigar, that is not good news. He's having to recover, and he's got himself back underway. Like I said, into the stadium section we go. He's slotted himself in behind Gordo. He just needs to make sure those tyres aren't too overheated, but he didn't spin too much there for the McLaren driver. Thankfully, he got himself back underway very quickly as well. but he just needs to make sure he keeps that car under control there for the next few corners as Danny there got himself up into P9 there. Danny's done a great job there getting himself up into the top 10, as has Dopey Lemons, but down the back of the order, Craig R there had a bit of a spin. He's now dropped down to 13th, but he's got the DRS there to try and get himself back past Gordo, but he's not got the pace, I don't think, to get himself back past Gordo at the moment. Gordo there doing a great job there of keeping hold of P2 there on the medium compound tyres. I think the mediums might be holding on to that position for him at this stage of the race, but of course we do expect the mediums to drop off in the next handful of laps or so, next 5 or 6 laps. I would expect the pit stop start to come in there for the medium runners into turn 4. Reflection, and Welsh Manotto, a nice switch back indeed there from Welsh Manotto. Can she hold on to the position there round into turn 6 and 7? Very good stuff indeed there from the Alfa Romeo driver, of course joining full time on this very event, this Grand Prix itself, and now very good position there for that overtake as well. Kamara Racer's dropped down the field. Kamara Racer, not quite sure what he's doing there. He's trying to get himself back underway without spinning the car around, but Danny's out of the race. I didn't see that either as well. Danny's had an issue. There's a safety car has been called out as Danny is done and dusted in this race. Not quite sure what happened there. There's a big smash indeed. The Mercedes is in the wall, and that is there's no front tyres, I think, on that car at all. As again, I'm not quite sure what's happening to Kamara Racer. I'm not quite sure what is going on with Kamara Racer there. He's cutting all the corners there as Kamara Racer, so bit of an odd one that. Not quite sure what is going on there for the Ferrari driver. He's into the pit lane. Reflection has followed him in as well. There's a few drivers there pitting for some soft compound tyres as Kamara Racer was pit and quit. I'm not quite sure what is going on there for Kamara Racer. That is his race done and dusted as well. Then Danny and Kamara out of this race, and that is them finished for this Grand Prix. Unfortunately, didn't see exactly what happened, but I think it was Danny's car in the wall that caused the safety car, which is a bit of a shame there. Unfortunately for Danny, he is out of this race, and same for Kamara as well. I'm not quite sure what happened to Kamara, but he decided to call it a day in the pit lane. The safety car is out, but the leaders have gone past the safety car here, and Beast is on medium compound tyres. Okay, I wasn't sure what was going on there. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Never mind that. Let's have a look and see what the driver's going to do now. Is Fangio going to pit? Is this going to play into the hands of the medium runners? I'm not quite sure, because I'm not quite sure if the hard compound tyres will be able to make it to the end of this race from here either. It's going to be a close one indeed. Into the pits goes the race leader though. He's decided to call it a day on the medium compound tyres. Will he go on to the hard compound tyres? But the question is, will he go to the end of the race on those hard compound tyres as well? We'll have to wait and see. This is good news there for Irvine and for Dan Murphy. They've been able to catch up to the back of the queue. Equaz carries on there, so Equaz now takes the lead of this race there with Fangio's pit stop. Into the pit goes Potstuff carries on as well, but Beast goes into the pits. Same for Brabbit as well. So onto the medium compound tyres for those drivers. Into the pits as well goes Dylan, only on 10 lap old hards. A few drivers there deciding to come into the pit lane, some carrying on as well on those hard compound tyres, so it'll be a difference of strategy there for a few drivers. Craig R carrying on. Can he get past his teammate? No, he's back up into P6 though, which is good stuff indeed with Craig R. He'll have to resume the battle later on as Dylan there exiting the pit lane there. He's lost a couple of positions there to Nigel and to Echo as well. Echo is on the soft compound tyres, so he's going to be able to go very quickly indeed in this next stint, but unfortunately he won't be able to last very long in that same stint as well, because he's on the soft compound tyres, but I would say probably last about maybe 6 laps at a push before they start to drop off in the Mexican Grand Prix. That is that. What a move from Becker, says Serious Mushroom as well. Yes, it was indeed. Very calm and controlled there from the new Alfa Romeo driver. Dylan there has got himself back underway. He's down into P10 there on the fresh medium compound tyres. A lot of drivers there have pit for medium compound tyres. 4 drivers have stayed out, and that is the current top 3. Equaz, Potstuff and Dopey Lemons, and Craig R there in P6 in the McLaren. So 4 drivers stayed out. The rest of the drivers have either pit or they've pit very recently. So that is them deciding that is going to be enough to get them to the end of not to the end of the Grand Prix. I'm not quite sure if the mediums get that far. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think they were going to get that far in the gold race last night. So there we go. How long does soft last? Not very long. Says Gordo's asking how long soft lasts. I would say not very long. I would say less than 8 laps, I would suppose. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be a great tyre. As Nigel's left the session again, That is not quite sure what's going on for Nigel there. He's having a few connection issues there. Is the Dutch driver hoping to get himself back in the car for the restart of this race? Like I said, the drivers there were still trying to catch up to the safety car queue, so he's got a bit of time to get himself back in the car. But yeah, not quite sure what is going to go on there for the championship leader there. That is not good news. Serious Rushman has 6 or 7 laps there, says for Gordo on the soft compound tyres. Yeah, so it's not going to be a very long stint indeed on those soft compound tyres, I'd imagine. So yeah, I would recommend to steer clear unless there's only 6 laps left of the race. But we're only a third of the way through so far. 2 DNFs there for Danny there, who was in the stadium section. He was in the wall. And Kamara Racer there decided to pit and quit, which is not good news there for Kamara Racer. I think that might be his third licence point as well for Kamara, which is a big shame because that would mean a 5-second penalty for the next race that he completes. That will be added onto his race time, unfortunately. Yeah, like I said, it's a big shame because, of course, like I said, the pit and quit situation, I understand it's a very, very frustrating, especially if you are involved in an incident. But like I said, he still had the opportunity to carry on, and that safety car would have helped him not lose too many places as well if he had to come into the pit lane as well, because of course a lot of drivers did pit at the same time. So I'm not quite sure what happened to Kamara Racer there to cause him to DNF, but fingers crossed he can. Get himself back underway in the next race, as Nigel has joined again. He's back will be back in the car there for the restart, but I don't think we'll be getting going. We might be getting going actually. It is in this lap. Irvine has caught up to the back of the queue. Equaz now has got a very limited amount of time there. That was a very late call indeed there for the safety car to come back in. It's a very late call indeed there, as Equaz has got himself back in the de facto safety car now, isn't he? Because he has to wait for the safety car to get into the pits before he can go. And Nigel, I think, has got himself back in the car just in time, as Equaz there leads us round the Nigel Mansell corner there to restart the race there onto lap 13. And away we go there. Dopey Lemons there with a very good start indeed, or restart indeed, on those old hard compound tyres. Fandra there in P4 now, the former race leader, is looking to get himself back up in the order into the podium places. There's Farf and Smithy switching places down the order as well. Echo and Brabbit battling away into turns 1 and 2. Brabbit now on the inside, but switches to the outside, of course, for turn 3, and there's contact between the two of them. Brabbit goes off, Echo goes off as well, and I'm not quite sure if I think there was a bit of a tap between the two of them there, but I think trying to hold it through there is always going to cause a bit of contact, as Dopey Lemons has been passed there by Fandra. I think Fandra's had I think Dopey Lemons had a mistake there, unfortunately, as Beast has got through as well for P4, which is good news for Beast indeed. Of course, it's Brabbit and Dylan now battling away there in towards the sector 2 S's as well. This is going to get tight indeed. Dylan goes around the outside with a great move indeed there from Dylan. What a move indeed from the Williams driver. That is fantastic stuff indeed there from Dylan to hold on to that place as well for P8. They're getting himself through past Brabbit as well for P8. Good stuff indeed there from the Williams driver. Unfortunate for Brabbit after that contact there with Echo, I think. I'm not sure if there's any damage there on the Mercedes. Hopefully not. As we go through the stadium section, as Gordo's had a bit of a problem there, and now here comes Farf, as Farf coming on to, because Danny's left the session. Danny's already out of the race, unfortunately for Danny. Whereas Mandano and Smithy switching places as well. Gordo had a problem there through the stadium section, and that is costing him. Here comes Nigel there. He's got himself up, or he's got himself alongside. He's not past Craigar just yet. Craigar there is trying to battle back there. Not much ERS there for the Alpha Tauri driver of Nigel. He's up into P6 there. He's got himself past the McLaren. Farf and Gordo switching places now. Farf up into 11th place, but he's got Gordo still there. His nose is just clinging on to the back of that Alpha Tauri, but he's not been able to make the move back, unfortunately. Farf now up into P11 there for the time being. Good stuff indeed. I think someone upset Kamoro. Says Serious Russian. Well, I think, yeah, I'm not sure if there's a problem with between himself and Danny. Off the track again goes Craig Gar there. He's having to battle with these drivers who are on fresher tyres. They're fresher medium compound tyres at that as well. They're going to be much faster instead. I should say at this stage compared to those old hards on the McLaren. And again, it looked like he was going to get out of control there through the SS section for Craig Gar. Needs to keep that car under control. If he can just cling on to the DRS there of these drivers, I think they'll have to pit again. As Farf picks up another penalty there in that AlphaTauri. That is not good news there for him. He is dropping down the order at the end of this race with those penalties there. They're all adding up now. Yeah, like I said, Craig, if he can stay within DRS range, he's going to be switching onto the medium compound tyres later on in this race, I would imagine. But I think the medium tyres, or medium runners who have just pit for mediums under that safety car, I don't think they'll be able to get to the end. So I think Craig R might still be in a good spot here later on in this race if he can hold on to it. He's going to have to deal with the pressure there from Reflection, who's coming through, as is Brabbit on Dylan as well. Brabbitt's got himself up. It's always contact between the Williams and the Mercedes into turn 1. I think they've got away with it just for the time being. I don't think Dylan's got any damage there, but Brabbitt there a bit aggressive on the turn-in, I think, and I think maybe the Williams got caught out by the speed there of the Mercedes as well. But now into turn 4 we go. Brabbitt up into P7, Dylan dropping down to P8 for the time being. Reflection's got himself past Craig R for P9, and Craig there just having to try and stick with these guys on those older hard compound tyres at this stage of the race, but of course it hopefully will come back to him later on in this one as well. We'll have to wait and see. Irvine and Echo battling away down the back of the order now, unfortunately for Irvine and Echo, but Echo has dropped down behind the Haas. Already 5 laps on those soft compound tyres, and I don't think they're faring too well at this stage of the race. Yellow flags for Farf. He's off the circuit again. Farf, where is he? There he is. He's in the S's section, on the exit of the S's section there. He's dropped down the order. He's on to, he's back underway thankfully, but he's got a bit of a gap now to Echo. He's dropped down behind the rest of the pack by 3 seconds or so with that spin, unfortunately. Back at the front, Nigel got himself past Dopey Lemons there, up into P5 for the time being there, which is good news indeed. Equaz and Pot Stuff there battling away. Here comes Fandra as well. Fandra there on the freshest of the hard compound tyres is trying to get himself up the order. Can he get a double overtake here? No, he's not. He's got past Pot Stuff. He couldn't get past Equaz though. Into turns 2 we go, and 2 and 3 we go. And like I said, Fandra there are going great guns indeed on those hard compound tyres. 10 laps younger than the likes of Equaz and Pot Stuff and Dopey Lemons and Craig R, of course, having made this stop under the safety car from the medium compound tyres as well. He's really pushing the drivers through. Equaz and Irvine, sorry, not Equaz, Echo and Irvine still battling away there into turn 4. Echo now up into P16 and trying to get after the rest of this queue. Dan Murphy and V Todd switching places as well. We'll go round in towards sector 2. Dopey Lemons picks up a penalty as well. That is not good news for Dopey Lemons. That's him in P6 currently, but of course on the older hard compound tyres I think he might be struggling compared to those on the mediums around him now. He's going to be trying to push on in this next stint to try and keep with the medium runners for the time being. Down the order, like I said, Dan Murphy got himself up into 14th place there. Smithy Almighty is the next target. Welsh Malnado's back up into P12 there, where she started this Grand Prix, and right behind Gordon now on the medium compound tyres. Up the order, Nigel and Beast battling away into the Nigel Manson corner on the final corner of the circuit. Not a very traditional overtaking place. Beast has got DRS. Same for Nigel as well though. So like I said, there's still some moves to be made. Here comes Dopey Lemons there with some ERS as well. Can he get himself up into P5? He can. He's alongside Nigel. Into turn 1 we go. Very deep on the brakes from Nigel there. And now into turn 2. It turns to the inside there. And I think Dopey Lemons might be able to sneak his way through here. Can he get himself up into P5? He can't just yet. It's Nigel there clinging on to P5 for the time being. Nigel's been passed there by, well, he was almost passed there by Dopey Lemons now. This battle's getting heated now. Here comes Brabbitt as well. Round to the outside of Dopey Lemons now. Turns to the inside in the middle mini stadium section, and Brabbitt has got himself up into P6. It looked like Dopey Lemons was on the attack there, but he's losing out places here. Hand over fist there as here comes Dylan as well, trying to squeeze his way through there. Of course, on the hard compound tyres, I don't think Dopey Lemons has got much to challenge with at the moment compared to the medium runners, and unfortunately, it looked like Dopey Lemons was battling for P5 on that main straight. It turns out he's now down to P8. Unfortunately, with the strategy just not working out for him at this stage of the race. Into the stadium section, Nigel and Beast going side by side into the stadium section there. This is getting intense indeed, as here comes Nigel now taking hold of that P4. Beast now into P5. Brabbitt is going to try and push through as well on those medium compound tyres. Down the order, Dopey Lemons and Craig R are switching places as well, and Craig R now is, like I said, battling one of his rivals there on the hard compound tyres for Dopey Lemons, but they're all in the DRS train. Here comes Beast. Can he get those Reflections? Got himself past Craig R as well on the medium compound tyres. Down the back of the order, here comes Beast for that P4 position, trying to get him back from Nigel there, but not into turn 1. No moves being made down the order. Brabbitt was pushing that McLaren through the corner as well. Brabbitt is really going for it indeed in that Mercedes, isn't he? He's putting his elbows out in this race, but there, Beast there having a bit of a difficult restart there. Well, not restart, difficult traction zone on that exit of turn 3. He's lost out there to Nigel. Nigel trying to push on there and try and extend the gap there to over 1 second to the McLaren. That will help him later on. The Beast has got damage. That's why that Beast has got a front end plate missing on the left hand side of that McLaren. That is why he's losing that time. Nigel's got himself over a second there because of the damage from the McLaren is costing him hand over fist through every corner through this circuit. That is why that is what's happening here. I thought Brabbitt was ghosting through him then, but no, into sector 2 we go through the S's section. This is going to cost cost Ultimate Beast so much time because he's just going to be losing it through those corners so much compared to the drivers around him. Down the back of the order, Smithy's had a spin into the stadium section. We go around the outside, goes Brabbit. He's got the position there ahead of Beast. I think Beast is going to have to come into the pit lane very soon indeed. Will the mediums get to the end of the race from here? I'm not quite sure. Have to find out later on. Or potentially he's got another set of hard compound tyres. Brabbit there up into P5. Ultimate Beast carrying on in this race. He maybe doesn't realise he's got no end plate there on the left-hand side of that McLaren. He's carrying on for the time being. Brabbit has lost 2.8 seconds into P2. Goes Potstaff ahead of Ekbaz into P2 there in this race. These two drivers, of course, are yet to pit in this Grand Prix. Beast and Brabbit battling away into turn 1. Again, Brabbit keeps hold of that P5 for the time being ahead of the McLaren. Kamara Racer has left the session there. Of course, Kamara was one of the drivers who retired in the pit lane there. Well, he was the only driver to retire in the pit lane there after Danny called the safety car. I'm not quite sure what happened to Kamara Racer, but we'll have to wait and see after the race then. As Dylan now trying to battle away his way through as well. Equaz and Irvine carrying on their battle into the mini stadium section as well. Oh, Irvine losing the traction there, and that's going to cost him into the... Oh, and Farf squeezing his way through. That is very dangerous indeed, as Farf and VTOD switching places as well. Farf now up into P15. VTOD dropping down the order there. Same for Irvine as well, as I think Echo there squeezed out. No, it wasn't Echo. It was Irvine there on the power, trying to keep up with Echo. That cost him there, as Dan Murphy trying to get himself past Gordo as well. Up the order as well. We've got Beast, and Beast dropping down the order there behind Dylan now. Dylan, I think, trying to get him through that past that McLaren with the wing damage there as well. Dopey Lemons and Reflection switching places as well into the stadium section. We can't quite get an angle of this. What's going on here? As round the corner we go. It looks like everyone's got through okay. I can't quite tell, and I think they've all gone through okay, thankfully. Into the pits goes Echo. He's done 9 laps on those soft compound tyres. That is one hell of a feat. I wouldn't expect him to get that far. I don't think they were very good indeed for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's really cost himself a bit of time there, I think. As now into turn 1 we go. Here comes Dopey Lemons on the outside of Reflection there. Turns to the inside, but again turns to the outside for the next corner as well. As we go through, Reflection's gone a bit wide there, but he's held on to the position for the time being. Here comes Dopey Lemons coming back at them. Red Bull though down towards turn 4. He's going to be around the outside this time. It switched the order now, but he's not been able to make the move. The Red Bull of Reflection covers it off for the time being now as we head into Sector 2. And blimey, it's getting intense in this race, isn't it? Nigel's got himself up into P3. He's got himself past Equaz, but of course on the medium compound tyres, we expect the mediums to start to drop off in the next few laps or so, which is where we're going to expect a few more pit stops, I would imagine, as well. Nigel is trying to get himself back up the order, of course, after the disconnect there at the beginning of the race and in the middle of the race as well. Unfortunately for Nigel there, we had a bit of difficulty there through that part of the race, but he's got himself back up the order for the time being as well. That penalty will have to be looked at as well. Into the pits comes Potstaff there, the first driver, the only driver who's not scheduled a stop yet. He's now onto the medium compound tyres there for the rest of this race. Equaz is yet to pit as well, I should say. The same for as into the pits goes Dopey Lemons as well. Same for Craigar. Craigar's carrying on as well. 20 laps done on those hard compound tyres for Equaz and Craigar. The likes of Dopey Lemons there and Craigar still yet to pit for the time being there. Now into turns 2 and 3 we go once again. Here comes Gordo there. Gordo's got himself up the order. He's got himself past Craigar there on those old hard compound tyres. They're really struggling at this stage. Coming back at him though, down towards turn 4. Here comes Dan Murphy as well down the outside of the McLaren. He's going to hold the position there, I think, is Dan. He's got the inside now for the next part of the corner. He's trying to move the McLaren out of the way. Ease the McLaren out of the way. Dive indeed there from Farf. And like I said, that is that is Farf in a nutshell, isn't it, really? He's trying to get around the... it's down the inside goes Craigar. He's trying to hold it here, indeed. It's going to be close, indeed. And I think the AlphaTauri there on the fresher tyres has just edged it there. Ahead of the McLaren, there's a tap, indeed, again from Craigar. And that is a spin from Farf. And I think that was Craigar there pushing the AlphaTauri there out of the way. Unfortunately, that was an unforced... Well, not an unforced error from Farf. It was a very forced error, indeed. That has cost Farf his place in this race of getting himself past Craigar. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to look on board with the footage there after the race indeed as well. But that was a bit of a strange one there from Craigar. He went maybe a bit too deep there on the braking there. Of course, on those old hard compound tyres, they aren't going to be very useful. As Nigel has claimed the lead of this race, unbeknownst to me, I've been looking at everything else going on as Craigar is back in the pit lane there. Echo picks up a penalty there. That is not good news there for the Alfa Romeo driver. Beast and Reflection switching places as well further down the order. But Nigel, like I said, claims the lead of the race ahead of Fangio now. Fangio, of course, is the only driver who I think can get to the end on his current set of tyres and has, of course, made a stop there from a different set from the medium compound tyres to the hards earlier on in this race as well. So he doesn't have to pit again, I would imagine. But the likes of Nigel and Equaz, of course, yet to pit as well. Brabbitt might have to pit down the order. Fangio's on the circuit. Fangio's had a problem there, and just as I was saying that, as he's driven into the wall on purpose as well, just get back to the pit lane, mate. Don't just retire on track because that is a needless safety car if it is called out, and I think that will be unfortunate. There is a safety car indeed from Fangio, and that is him out of this race, and that, like I said, is a needless safety car indeed. So unfortunately, that will be even more of an issue there for Fangio later on in the rest of the season as well, which is a big shame. Into the pits though goes Nigel there from the race lead. Is he going to be able to hold on to the race lead as well? We'll have to wait and see who's going to come into the pit lane from this stage of the race. I think the mediums can get to the end from here very comfortably indeed. So that is good news indeed for those drivers. The Farf Bomb says Serious Rushman in the comment section, and I think he's referring to that dive bomb there he did on Craig R there in the mini stadium section as well. Out of the pit lane we go. Nigel there is in the lead of this race. That is pretty good news for the driver who was, of course, disconnecting at this stage of the race. Owned the last safety car, that was as well. Equaz there in P2, and that is him up into P2 as well. No penalties there for the Aston Martin, which is great news indeed for him. Pottsnoff, who did make a pit stop, has lost out there a little bit, I think, to the likes of Equaz and Nigel. He's into P3, Brabbitt in P4. Reflection with a great strategy indeed so far. It's working out for him very well indeed. It's been P5. Good stuff indeed from Reflection. Dylan in P6, Gordo there onto the hard compound tyres. I'm not quite sure if that's the right call there. Unfortunately, I don't know if Gordo had enough medium compound tyres to go on to for the latter half of this race. We're now into the final third as we're going to begin lap 24 in the next few stages, and that's going to be the final third of this Grand Prix. And there we go. Unfortunate there for Fangio. He decided just to drive it into the wall after having a spin through the S's section, and unfortunately, like I said, it caused the unnecessary safety car that we've got now as well, which will lead to an investigation by the stewards. Nonetheless, we'll have to crack on with what we've got in this race there. Gordo there, the young driver now on the hard compound tyres. Everybody else is on the medium compound tyres. So it's going to be a difficult one, I think, for Gordo to get to the end of this race and try and keep hold of that top 10 result. Of course, the good thing for Gordo is there's penalties for the drivers around him, I should say. So that is not all doom and gloom yet for Gordo there. I think he can still get himself back in this one with some good racing as well. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, I think safety car will be in next lap because it has to do at least 2 laps before it can go back into the pit lane. So that is it. It's done and dusted. Is Gordo going to come back in? No, he's not. Oh, sorry. I nearly just swallowed my tongue there. Like I said, one more lap under safety car, and I think because this field is so bunched up, we'll be able to get ourselves back underway very quickly indeed, and then it will be a 12 lap race to the end, which I would say would be ideal for the medium compound tyres. I would expect them to be able to get to do 12 laps or so very comfortably. This is amazing, says Serious Russian. I think it has been an absolutely epic Grand Prix in terms of the battling everywhere, really. Usually, I said in the review, in the race reviews, it's been an absolutely fantastic race. There was lots of battling up and down the field, but I don't think I've ever seen as much battling in the field as this. Absolutely epic stuff indeed there from all the drivers. They've done a great job throughout this race so far. Unfortunately, not so much for Danny, for Camaro and for Fangio there, who have all called it a day in this race. I don't know what happened to Danny there. I think Danny might have had a bit of a smash there, but the other two unfortunately didn't need to retire when they did. But there we go. Right then, I think now we get through the S's section and we'll be underway for the restart of this race. Hopefully it'll be a bit of a more earlier call, let's say, than it was for Equaz. It was in the stadium section already, but by the time the little indicator came in saying that the safety car was in this lap, I think the safety car might be in this lap now as we go, as the indicator should pop up very shortly. There it is. So safety car in this lap. There we're going to have 12 laps of green flag running there to the end of the race. like I said, we are in the final half or final third of this race now, after completing the first 2 thirds. That is, so 24 laps have been completed, and now we're going to start on with the next 12, which is going to be led away by Nigel there on the restart here. We're just going to get ourselves ready to get going again, and of course the tyres trying to get them warmed up as well before we get ourselves launched off the restart. And I think Nigel, they're trying to keep it as late as possible there before we get going. Of course, it's a very long straight indeed, so if the drivers behind get a good jump on him, then they can, of course, get themselves back into the lead of this race. But down the main straight we go. Equaz then not going to be close enough, I don't think, at this stage to get himself past Nigel there for the lead of the race there. Brabbit there in P4, they're trying to get himself moved past. Here comes Reflection and Dylan into turn 1. Dylan going very deep on the brakes, but Reflection holds on for the time being through turn 2, but now into turn 3, and the Red Bull has been passed there by the Williams there. Up into P5 goes Dylan. Here comes Reflection coming back at it though, down towards turn 4. Here comes the Red Bull down the outside. Can he hold it around the outside this time? Can he do it back to the Williams driver? He's going to try and hold it around the outside here for Reflection. He's got the move done. Has he down the inside? He's been spun. There's contact there, and there's a Red Bull off. There's an Alfa Romeo off the circuit as well. It's Echo off the circuit. Echo and I think it was, I can't remember who it was now. Oh God, it was Echo and God knows who was Dylan battling. Reflection there. Reflection had a spin. I'm not quite sure what happened to Echo as well. Echo was collected in the background there, and that is I'm not quite sure what happened at all really. But Welshman Nardo up into P7. That's a fantastic result so far for Welshman Nardo. VTOD up into the points as well. Good stuff from VTOD. Beast and Smithy switching places now down the order. Craig R picks up a penalty as well. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Craig R there, but as Beast has got himself wing damage once again on that right end plate. Once again, there's more damage there for the McLaren driver. That is not good news, unfortunately, for Beast. He's not had the luck in this race, unfortunately, for the McLaren driver. He's really struggled in this one. I think I'm not quite sure what happened to, or if they just didn't repair the wing damage. I'm not quite sure. Dan Murphy now up into P8 there, ahead of VTOD. Is he down the main straight towards turn 1 we go. Potsdam picks up another penalty. That is not good news for Potsdam. That's going to displace him off the podium places, I think. And that's at this stage of the race. That is not very bad news indeed there for the Red Bull driver. He's had a great race indeed so far. So Irvine's dropping down the order as well. Irvine's off the circuit at turn 3. He's got himself back underway. Oh my. Serious Mushroom there has said, come on Irvine. I think that jinxed him there. Serious Mushroom there. He's had a spin there at the exit of turn 3 and now has to get himself back underway. Out in the front there, Nigel's got himself a 1.1 second gap there to his arrival of Equaz. That's not good enough at the moment for Nigel there. Of course, that penalty will come back and add on to his race time at the end of this race. Pot stuff there in P3. Brabbit has not got any penalties there in P4, which is good news for Brabbit. He could be on for a podium here, at least potentially a win there if Equaz there has any issues. The same for Dylan as well. He's still in the order there. Smithy's off the circuit, down the order as well. He's in the stadium section. He's had a spin. I think that's where we saw Danny there have his retirement, but he's got himself back underway. Down the inside there goes Irvine there, and like I said, these two are going to carry on their battle, I think, as it seems like they're struggling on. Unfortunately, at this stage of the race, it's not looking good, but there could be another safety car later on in this one as well. You never know. VTOD is in the pit lane, so VTOD has got an issue there as well on that Ferrari. He's in the pit lane very slowly as well, indeed. I'm not quite sure what happened to VTOD there. He's going to have to try and get himself back underway. He's got a pit stop and a wing change coming there for the Ferrari driver. He's gone on to the soft compound tyres as well, so potentially can get himself the fastest lap point indeed. I need the toilet but can't stop watching. I think that's the same for me as well, Serious Mushroom. So yeah, don't worry. But yeah, at the moment it's calming down a bit slightly. I think calm before the storm, I would have to imagine, because of course it's going to get a bit spicy. I imagine later on in this race, before we get to the end of the last few laps of this race, is going to kick back up indeed in another show of splendour once again. I'm sure the battles will recommence there as we get towards the last few laps, and like I said, we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds as well. Gordo there needs to try and stick with the drivers ahead of him there on those hard compound tyres to get himself back in the points, and can finish in the points with the penalty situation there for the drivers around him, or ahead of him I should say. So it's not all done and dusted yet for Gordo there. He can still get himself back in the top 10 and get some points for the team and for himself as well. He'll be the only driver so far, or only driver in this race to score points for the Alpine team, because I don't think Dopey Lemons there behind him is going to be able to get himself further up the order enough to get himself ahead of those on the penalty situation as well. Down towards the turn 1 we go. Welshman on clings on to P7 for the time being. Dan Murphy up into P8. Gordo and Beast there switching places into turn 1 Irvine as well. Gordo got himself up into P10 on merit as well. Good stuff indeed from Gordo. He's got himself past Beast now, and with the DRS there can try and get himself after Farf as well now. He's got a 2.8 second gap at the moment, but of course Farf has got a lot of penalties into the background. Dopey Lemons, I think, almost making contact there with Beast. Beast, of course, with that front wing damage, is a bit slow through the corners, isn't he? And that is going to cost him a lot of time, and I think that could be good news for Gordo there. He can try and get ahead of Beast there, and use Beast there as a bit of a blockade there for the drivers behind. So he's got protection from behind there, and he needs to focus on what he can do ahead of him, really, rather than worry about who's behind him. But now coming through into the stadium section, there's going to be a lot more time lost there indeed for Beast as they go down towards the next few corners. Dopey Lemons there is under pressure from Craig R. Craig R's got himself past the Alpine driver. Is there an issue there for Dopey Lemons? He's losing a lot of time indeed. I'm not quite sure. Echo's trying to get himself through as well, but Echo's not been able to make a move just yet through the stadium section. Beast has still clinging on to that DRS range for the time being there of Gordo, which is not good news for Gordo. He wants to get himself as far away as possible there from the McLaren drivers. So we'll have to wait and see if he can do that there in the next lap or so. We're on to lap 29 of 36. There's only 7 laps or 7.5 laps now left to go. And it is getting exciting. So good stuff indeed. Welshman Arno's back within DRS range now of Reflection, which is good news for the Alfa Romeo driver. That's going to be helpful to pull herself along now in this race and try and get herself back up the order as well. Well, she's got herself back up the order as well. Starting P12, there's back up into P7 now, and looking good indeed for driver of the day. I would expect Sirius Bushman is very happy about that as well. Yellow flags in the background. Yellow flags, it's for Farf. Farf is off the circuit, and that has lost him an out of time. He was lost in the points paying positions as well now. Gordon up into P9 after that spin there for Farf. He was sitting in P9 as well, quite comfortably, but of course had the penalties to add on to his race as well, which is unfortunate there for Farf. He's lost control of the car, and now that is him down the order as well. Beast has been passed by his teammate. Yellow flags once again. It's for Irvine this time. Irvine's got the same problem there as his teammate, and he's got himself back underway thankfully as well this time though. Irvine there has got wing damage now as well, so unfortunately for Irvine I think that is a mandatory pit stop there, or compulsory pit stop there for that wing damage. We've seen the same for Beast though. Beast has been carrying on, but I'm not quite sure if he just wants to get himself into a window where the soft compound tyres will be the best tyre to go on to. He's going to be battling back ahead of his teammate though in towards turn 1 there. Beast has got moved done, has he? Oh, Craig R's not giving up on this one though. They're still battling side by side, these two, and yeah, Craig R not giving up on that move just yet. As down the order we go. Craig R now under pressure from his teammate, and it looks like they're going to be fighting there. This one, well, it seems like Beast wants to fight at least, as Irvine is back in the pit lane there, and he's got himself into the garage there to sort out the tyres now for the Haas driver there. Further up the order, I should say, there's not much moves there. Nigel's got himself almost a 4-second gap out in front, which is great news indeed there. Even with that penalty, that is going to help him out. Farf has dropped down behind Echo there. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Farf, as Beast has dropped down the order as well. He's having an issue there through the S's section. I think that wing damage there is just costing him time. Hand over fist, isn't it, for the McLaren driver, unfortunately. We've seen some drivers already make a pit stop there for the soft compound tyres to go for the fastest lap. I think that is a good option. There is but the Smithy. We'll have to wait and see what happened there for Smithy, because Smithy is out of this race, and that is bad news indeed there for the Williams driver. There's no safety car yet, but that is a yet at the moment. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen in this next few seconds. The VSC, I think. No, it is a safety car. Safety car has been called out. Blimey, this is going to get intense indeed, isn't it? Wow, look at that. Fight for the last point, going to be interesting. We're going to have to come back to that one. I think the fight for any points is going to be interesting indeed, because this is going to get very close indeed, because the safety car has been brought out for Smithy's incident. And that, my goodness, we'll have to look into that, because that one has again caused another massive change there to the result potentially of this race. Will there be any drivers from the top or the order pitting again for the soft compound tyres? We'll have to wait and see. Nigel's got quite a big gap indeed at the moment. It's almost 5.7 seconds there, as you can see there, to Equaz. Will he make that opportunity to come into the pit lane? I don't think he'll lose too much. But will he gain that time back is the question as well under the green flag running once we get restarted. VTOD is back in the pit lane. Irvine's carrying on there. Of course, these drivers are pit for the soft compound tyres already, and will need to get himself back out onto the lead lap as well. Nigel carries on. Same for Ekwaz as well. Here comes Potstaff. Potstaff carries on as well. Brabbitt staying out. So it looks like the drivers is going to be staying out there in this race. We'll have to wait and see who's going to start taking the gambles as Gordo's dropping down the order. Gordo's had a problem there. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Gordo there in the stadium section, but he's lost out massively, which is a big shame indeed. Into the pit lane, I think, goes Dopey Lemons, who's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is bad news indeed for Dopey Lemons. Unfortunate for him as well. What I would do if I was him as well is come back to the pit lane and serve that penalty on the next lap, which unfortunately, as Gordo's having to double stack behind his teammate as well. This is not good news there for the Alpine outfit. One of them's got a speeding in the pit lane penalty. The other one has to double stack behind his teammate. That is costing him so much time. Hand over fist there, and Beast is going to come through and get those positions. I think ahead of both of the Alpines potentially there. It's going to be close indeed, but yeah, unfortunately I think Beast did overtake on the safety car there, so he's going to have to let the place back. But Gordo there has had to double stack behind his teammate, which is really, really bad news. Irvine is now back onto the main straight as well. Same for V Todd, he's got himself back underway. But blimey, I said all the action's happening in Silver tonight, isn't it? That is one hell of a strategy call there as well for some drivers as well. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to pay off there for the soft run. He's going to get himself back up the order. Gordo is going to have to hope that he can get himself back in the safety car queue and can maximise on the penalty situation for the drivers ahead of him. Same for Irvine as well, and for V Todd as well. Hopefully they can potentially get themselves some good points here if they can keep within the range of the drivers with penalties later on in this race. There's only going to be, I think, it depends when the safety car comes in, but we're only going to have maybe 2, maybe 3 laps of green flag running there to the end of this race, so there's not going to be much opportunity there for any overtakes. Echo is in the pit lane, so Echo's caught it there on the medium compound tyres. He's done 12 laps or 13 laps now on the mediums. So that is him done and dusted now on the medium compound tyres. Into the pit lane now goes the Alfa Romeo driver. V Todd picks up a penalty under the safety car. That is not what you want to do. That has cost him there potentially the ability to get himself into the points paying positions later on in this race when the checkered flag does fall. We'll have to wait and see. My brain is hurting, says Serious Mushroom. My brain's hurting as well, I think. It's chaos here in Silver tonight. It's all over the place there. As I said, I think we'll have to review how the safety cars have been caused, because I think it's a bit of a nightmare, this trying to get the race just done and dusted. Really, at this stage, it's been a bit of a nightmare, hasn't it? But what a hell of a race it's been. But like I said, we're going to be looking to restart. I don't know if it might be in this lap. It might be another late call. It depends on whether V Todd can catch up to the safety car queue or not. Gordo is also trying to catch up as well, but he's got Irvine there for company. But these drivers will be in a hurry now because, of course, at the end of lap 34, which is the next lap, the safety car will come in anyway, regardless of whether they caught up to the safety car queue or not. So they need to hurry up with their actions, get themselves caught up to the safety car queue as quickly as possible. So there we go. But like I said, it's looking like half a strategy going for one way. The top of the field that is going one way, and the rest of the strategy going the other way. They're down to 16th on the soft compound tyres. We'll have to wait and see who's going to be the one to make the call, and which is going to be the right call, which is going to be the best strategy indeed. Safety car is out for one more lap, it looks like. So yes, it is. So that is going to be very interesting indeed as well, because I think if I was Dopey Lemons, I would have just pit, because I'm not quite sure why he hasn't pit, because served that 5-second penalty there for speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunately, he's carrying on, because of course that will add on to his race time at the end of the race. We'll have a look at the penalty situation as well. We have got 8 seconds there for Dopey Lemons there, so he would be able to. Well, he would have been able to serve the penalty there and have that reduced down to 3. Echo's got 9 seconds of penalties as well, 6 for Potstaff as well in P3. That is not good news for him. He's going to be dropping down the order very quickly indeed. 6 for Farf as well, and then like I said, 3 for V Todd, 3 for Beast, 3 for Craig Art, 3 for Reflection, and 3 for our race leader Nigel. At this stage of the race, it is not looking good there for the drivers with penalty situations. My battery is running low, which hopefully can get to the end of the race. Fingers crossed. We'll get to the end of that race as well, but I think we'll be resuming for only 2 laps now of green flag rank. 25 and 36 will be the only 2 laps left. No DRS will be available. As Serious Mushroom has also let us know as well, Mexico is the new fan favourite for Serious Mushroom in the comment section, so good stuff indeed. At least somebody's enjoying it. So I'm getting a bit sweaty here in the comments box. trying to commentate on this epic Grand Prix. It has been one hell of an epic, unfortunately. I think in terms of the safety cars, it's been for the wrong reasons. But there we go. Safety car is in this lap. We're going to have 2 laps of green flag running to the end of this Grand Prix. It is going to be one hell of a sprint to the race, to the race finish, I should say. Nigel there, of course, is now the de facto leader. He's led a safety car restart already. Same for Equaz, and these two are going to trying to get themselves as far away as possible from the rest of the grid later on this restart. They've only got 2 laps to go. Let's have a look and see how it's going to fare out. Let's have a look and see how those soft compound tyres are going to go as well, as Nigel there leads us round the Nigel Mansell corner there, the final corner there of this circuit before we can get ourselves back underway. Safety car is back in the pit lane now, and Nigel there is going to go now. So he's got himself a nice little gap there. Potstuff has got a great restart there, trying to get himself past Equaz there down towards turn 1, and already the Red Bull and the Aston Martin side by side. Brabbitt going to come through as well. Is he towards turn 1? It's going to be close indeed between these drivers. Into turn 1 we go. Oh, and Potstuff there, always close indeed, and Equaz holds on to P2 for the time being. Potstuff there slots in behind. Brabbitt as well pushing through. Here comes Dylan as well. Dylan's in place for a podium, I think, potentially, if he can hold on to this as well. Looking good there for the Williams driver as well, after a good race in the previous race, Japan Grand Prix as well, I should say. Down the order, the soft runners are coming through as well. Softs are coming through. Here comes Craig Ald, dropping down the order, unfortunately. It's Craig Ald there. The soft runners are there of Gordo's going to get a 5-second penalty for gaining a place under off a corner cutting. I'm not quite sure what happened there for Gordo, but that is going to cost him a place in the top 10, I would imagine, which is a big shame indeed for Gordo, because it looked like he could be on for a good result here and get some good points as well. But now Dan Murphy under pressure there from Farf. We'll have a look here as Equaz has got himself Nigel got himself a 1.2 second gap out in the lead. Beast has got himself a 3-second penalty. Farf has got himself out into P6. This is good news for Farf. He's going to try using the soft compound tyres to his best of an advantage, but at the moment he's going to have to cling on there, as down the order there Echo and Dopey Lemons battling away through the stadium section. There's contact between the two. Dopey Lemons has been forced off the circuit there by Echo, and now trying to get switched back there round the Nigel Mansell corner there. But here comes Dopey Lemons now down onto the main straight. This is the last time they're going to be on the main straight here tonight, and it's going to get intense, I would imagine, as we go down towards turn 1. Here comes the Mercedes of Brabbitt. They're trying to get himself past Potstuff. Dylan's dropped off the back here in P5. He's under pressure from Farf now, round into turn 1. Into turn 1 goes the AlphaTauri driver. He's got the outside now. He's got the inside now. He's got the outside again, and Dylan loses traction there. Farf is up into P5. Dylan there down into P6. Dylan is losing out to the drivers there on the soft compound tyres. Now they're coming through the order here at this stage. Somebody got a penalty there. I didn't see what happened at that penalty situation down the order there. Irvine trying to get past Craig Ard there around the outside, this time into the mini stadium section. Dopey's got a 5-second penalty there for corner cutting and gaining a place, same as his teammate there as well. I'm not quite sure what is going on there. Dopey Lemon's now up into 8th place there, but I don't think he overtook anybody, did he? Maybe he overtook Echo, unfortunately, but we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Echo picks up a 3-second penalty there for his efforts as well, unfortunately. Up the order, we'll have to look and see, because here comes Nigel there to win the Mexican Grand Prix. Through the stadium section goes the AlphaTauri driver. This is one hell of a Grand Prix indeed from him. And now he comes around the final corner there to finish off lap 36 of 36 and take the win on track there in the AlphaTauri. Once again, a great win indeed, but it's going to be Equaz who takes pole position, or takes the P1 position in this race. Brabbitt crosses the line in P3, Dylan in P4, Dan Murphy P5, Irvine in P6. Great result indeed from Irvine after a difficult race. Potstuff in P7 after the penalties added on. Same for Farf in P8. Welshman Honor gets P9, and I'm not quite sure who got P10. But blimey, well, one hell of a Grand Prix that. Welshman Honor picked up her first points of the season, of course, on her first full-time appearance as well. Irvine is the driver of the day, and I think that is hats off to Irvine. He did have one of the driver of the day performances after that horrible first few couple of thirds really of the race. He was at the back for that safety car restart as well, but got himself up into the points there, up into 6th place. Again, the same place that he finished in the US of A last week. But there is your race winner there, Equaz on the top step there, Nigel in P2 and Brabbitt in P3 for the Mexican Grand Prix. One hell of a Grand Prix, I would have to say. I'm going to have to try and get a bit of a. I'm going to have a bath, I think, after this one, an ice cold bath. I think I've joined all the athletes there in sweating too much there in this one. And Gordo has said, can I get 5 seconds removed? Well, if you've got the footage of it and the race director, then we can have a look at it, of course. There is your classification there for the Mexican Grand Prix. Equaz is your race winner there on penalties. Nigel, unfortunately, had that 3 seconds that demoted him from P1 there down to P2. Brabbit in P3 with a great race indeed as well. Dylan there in P4, gained 4 places from 8 as well in that race. Dan Murphy, P20 to P5 there. But again, Irvine, I would have to say, is one of the driver of the day candidates there. Of course, with a P6 there from Irvine there, started P17 but 4 stops in that race. Potstav in P7 after the penalties as well, same for Farf in P8. Welsh Manada gets the first points of the season there in the Alfa Romeo, of course, her first full-time drive tonight as well. Craig R did get that last point, good stuff from him as well. V Todd in P11 there, Gordo in P12, unfortunate for him. Then we got Reflection in P13, Ultimate Beast in P14, Echo in P15, Dopey Lemons in P16 after the penalties were added on as well. Unfortunately, we lost Smithy, Fanjo, Camaro and Danny in this Mexican Grand Prix as well. Blimey, that was one hell of a Grand Prix, wasn't it? We'll have to have a look quickly at the race flash. Okay, we've just gone through that, haven't we? We'll have to, I think Gordon needs to see his race director apparently, so we'll have to quickly look at that as well. There we go. So that is that. So good stuff indeed. Right then, we'll have a quick interview then with our podium sitters. Bear with us 1 second whilst we get the mics sorted out, and we'll get ourselves the top 3 drivers. Right then, hopefully drivers can hear me in the commentary box. I'm not quite sure if they can or not. Fingers crossed. Can anybody say hello if you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Everything is fine.
Yes, I can hear you. That is Brabbit, of course. Brabbit in P3. What a race from yourself. You kept it calm and kept it clean, and you've got the podium once again. How did that race go for you?
I was really happy that I had a good result. I agree. I was in a good rhythm. I kept it clean, and I just was thinking on the long game, as it is a long race, so safety car was possible, and it was not in my favor, the safety car. The first run I was on the hard, so I had no choice. I had to go for the stop, and then again, because you only have one set of hards in the race. But all in all, I'm really happy. Podium is quite fine. This was so important because last race I just didn't find the rhythm. I had problems, I don't know why. And yeah, this was a good answer for last week. So I'm really happy to join the podium with these guys, because these are Equaz and Nigel. They are definitely faster, but I was giving my best to follow them.
Well, it was a very good call from yourself as well. I think through the race as well, making sure the right strategies were picked when those safety cars did come out as well. And once again on the podium again, are you going to be looking forward to getting on the podium in the next race, of course, which is Brazil?
I don't see any argument that it's against. So I really want to join the podium regularly, but it's not only on me. I mean, yeah, I have to do a good race, but there are some drivers that have the same skill level like me, I would say. So the fight for the podium is very hard, and normally I think is Fangio on the podium, but yeah, today he had some problems, and I was the lucky one to take his spot on the podium. So I want, yes, but it's not so easy. I will give my best.
Well, we'll keep driving like you did today, of course, and hopefully there will be many more to come as well. So we'll well done to you as well. Good stuff from Brabbit there in P3. We have Nigel there in P2. Is Nigel in the party chat?
Yes.
Hello, Nigel. There, very good stuff indeed from yourself. It looked like you were down and out at one stage, of course, with the connection issues. Was it just internet issues there, or was there something else going on with your connection there in that race?
No, I don't know. I don't know what happened. The game crashed, and then I rejoined, and the game was still a bit laggy. So I restarted it in the safety car, and then after the safety car, everything was fine. So I hope I didn't give many people trouble about it, but it was a bit hectic.
Well, you were almost out of the points at one stage, and you battled back to look to take the lead there at the second in the second half of the race, and then the second safety car came out. What did you think there when that safety car came out? Did you think you might be losing the race lead, or did you know that you had the pace there to try and get yourself a gap?
No, I know I would lose the first place. I was just aiming for second because that was possible. Because of also Potstoff his penalties, so I was just pushing like hell and gave it everything the last 2 laps.
Well, you had some great pace indeed. It was almost it was over 2 seconds there on that restart, on the second restart, with only 2 laps in the Grand Prix left, and you got a 2-second gap there in those 2 laps as well to almost get yourself back into P1 really with the penalty situation. But would you say that that's a win lost, or is that 18 points gained there for yourself this race?
Both, because I think you never know what happened in the race, because you never know. But after the qualification and the first lap, I was looking good for the win, and after the reconnection, I was just hoping for points, and I came out in the second, so I'm very happy about it. But still a shame, because it could be 26 points at the end.
Well, we'll have to crack on to Brazil, of course, next week. What's your thoughts there for Brazil?
Just hoping to be in the session. That's the only thing I want.
Yeah, fingers crossed. that'll help. But we'll hopefully see you back again on the podium very soon as well. I don't know if Ekwaz joined us. Did Ekwaz join us?
He's in ready.
Yeah, how's it going, Alex?
Ekwaz is here. Good stuff indeed. Of course, the race winner here from Mexico. What a result from yourself. You saw other drivers sort of fall by the wayside during that race, and of course the penalty situation played into your favour at the end of that race as well. But what were your thoughts there in the first few laps? We saw you jump up the order very quickly indeed.
Yeah, good job by the podium, and I just really needed a good start in the race, which luckily I did. But the boys ahead had a lot of pace. That was Nigel and Fangio. They had really good pace. Like the safety cars saved me, but yeah, it was important to just get that early good start, and yeah, just try and stay out of trouble. Like I got 2 early track extensions, and I think I got it before lap 10, both of them. So I was just being so cautious on like almost every lap after, which is probably why my pace was not as good as it could have been. I was being so cautious, especially around the S's. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good.
Well, it was definitely the right call there for yourself, because you got the win on track. We got the win with the situation afterwards, of course, in the classification. So that is the full points there for yourself on the Aston Martin team. Very good stuff indeed from yourself. And what's your thoughts as well, just before we end on Brazil there next week for your performances next week?
Yeah, Brazil I really enjoy. I do like one-shot quali as well. It should be. Hopefully I'll get some decent points, try really Nigel. I think that's really my last chance. If I have a bad race there, then I think it's all Nigel's. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Good luck, Nigel.
Well, we'll see you back on the podium
eventually,
and then the fight can continue. We'll have to find out, but yeah, of course, stay tuned there for ALR. They were back, of course, in silver in a week's time there at Brazil. Tomorrow night we've got more Mexico action there with bronze at 7:30 p.m. and then the 100% League is back on Wednesday as well for Miami, of course, following the F1 calendar in real life this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. as well. So stay tuned. There's plenty more action coming up on ALR.